needs to do.
There is a convergence of technologies that is happening when we are talking about AI. AI is leading the other disruptive technologies, the industry 4.0 technologies that they call. I mean, there are a set of host of things that you have spoken in your book also. Now, armed forces across the world spearheaded the adoption of new technologies always. But in the present case of these disruptive technologies, we see a little shift. The corporates, even startups, are taking lead, and armed forces are not at the lead. Whether it is internet revolution or any other revolution, we see the defense, whether it is in US or elsewhere, they were the ones who were leading. Today, the shift has taken place. How do you correct it? So how do we think we can correct it?
So first thing I want to correct is the track record, because in the United States, DARPA, which is Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, that is Defense Department, they invented the internet. It used to be called DARPANet, and then they dropped the D and called it ARPANet and made it available on a selective basis, not available to the public. And then it became internet. So when I tell people the year in which I used internet, people say, oh, no, there was no internet, because they look up internet started in a certain year. But before that, the same thing was called ARPANet, and I used it. And before that, it was called DARPANet. And I was a graduate student with my professor involved in this kind of research. And so I had a security clearance. I used it. So I did use the internet before it was called internet. And I know that this is a DARPA invention. DARPA also invented semiconductors, because the transistor, for which Bell Labs got a Nobel Prize, and laser, for which Charles Towns and Bell Labs got the Nobel Prize. Fiber optics. I was in ITT, and the gentleman adjacent to me was a Chinese American patent holder for ITT under defense contract doing fiber optics. He later got the Nobel Prize in physics for fiber optics. You look at night goggles, another technology that ITT, when I was there, we had for F-16 fighters, for goggles for army people, and then speech recognition, because the fighter pilot, they wanted that he should be able to speak the command and not use his hands, because his hand will be free to do other things. And so certain commands, they wanted speech recognition. And so all these technologies, now DARPA doesn't do its own research only. CIA has many of its own ventures, but DARPA gives it to defense contractors. The defense contractor industry is a $500 billion industry in the United States. It's a very big industry. All these Boeing, Defense, and Grumman, and Lockheed Martin, all these kind of McDonnell Douglas, all these companies that you look at in aerospace, that are the cutting edge of aerospace, are very heavily defense related and avionics related. So I would say that the backbone of technology in the United States has been defense. In AI now, when you look at AI, a lot of research in quantum computing is being funded by the military people. The military people is looking at implants for soldiers and for all these things to, improve their functionality and create a futuristic, futuristic brain that has got all these technologies is part of their mind and brain and access to so much information. So don't count them out, because the CIA has a venture capital fund. I don't know if you know this. The CIA has multiple venture capital funds, and the details on where they're investing are kept secret, but they give money to startups, private startups, and those guys have to keep their mouth shut, and they're working for the CIA. Then 5, 10, 15 years later, this will get declassified and the corporate sector will get access to it. So there is one flow of technology which goes through classified, military, government, and then it gets declassified. But you're also right that the amount of the AI investment by Google and Microsoft and Facebook and particularly Apple and Amazon is huge. I mean, each one of them is spending many times what all of India is spending on basic research. So the corporate sector is very big also. So in the US, you have these. Now in China, the military, industrial, academic complex. In US also, military, industrial, academic complex. They're together. So China also. India, they're separate silos. The DRDO is separate. They may be giving a little bit of grant here and there to private sector. Maybe some IIT guy gets a small grant. He's got 5-10 techies working for him, but nothing to build a big, huge system. So the DRDO is separate. The industry does very little research. In India, the industry does not do research. It's a service economy model, which is not innovation based, not patent based. It is basically providing services. You hire people and you rent them out, rent the brains to some American guy, and then they build the technology. So Indian brains working for foreign entities building the technology. It's happening all over the place. As far as academics is concerned, there's hardly any research. They are more into gundagardi and campus riots and politics and all that. The academic is mainly to teach. But in the United States, the academic is also to do research. So when they rank, the reason the Indian universities don't rank very high is because they rank based on published output. They don't rank based on what is your curriculum and students you're producing. If they ranked on the quality of students, then Indian university would rank good, because the IITs would do well and IIMs would do well because their graduates would doing very well in various places. 99% of the college products are not that same caliber, but the 1% who come from good places are good students. They have good brains. They work hard. However, when you are looking at international standards of academics, it's based on research output of the faculty, and India is very low on that. Very low in the rankings. Hardly any university will be in the top 50 or 100 or something like that, because they're not doing research. So you see, the problems in India have to do with not enough research. That is the key problem. That is the key problem. So you need a governance that is research oriented. And when you say Atmanirbhar, that is fantastic, but that has been limited to manufacturing. It doesn't. So you are Atmanirbhar, making something, but you are buying foreign technology to make it. Do you understand the difference?
Yes.
So,
yes.
For instance, when India does electric vehicles, when they make electric cars, Mahindra, the lithium ion technology is mainly Chinese have got most of the patents.
Yes.
And a few other people have patents. And the lithium, which is the material, the actual substance needed, 50% of the world lithium supply is controlled by China. Only 11% is the Chinese own mining of lithium in their own country. But the rest of it, they bought off the mines in Africa, here, there, wherever in the world, whether it's Australia, if they found a lithium mine, they'd buy it off. And they've collected, while they're doing research, and they put a big bet on the future is going to be this, they started collecting all the patents, so people have to license from them, and they started collecting all the mines, so they own half the world's supply. So Chinese are very clever. They make long-term bets. So, the governance also has to include people who know what are the long-term bets.
Now,
you realize China made the bet that on robotics. Now they have more robots than US and Europe combined. They made a bet on drones, so they're the largest supplier of drones. They made a bet on solar panels. They're the largest supplier of solar panels. They made the bet on electric vehicles. Even Tesla's biggest factory is in China. The first factory is in China. Because Elon Musk, who knows very well that if he keeps Chinese happy, they'll keep giving him the lithium. So he's also a smart guy. He says, oh, I love these Chinese guys, because it's not because he goes and enjoys Chinese food. I'm sure he does that also. But he knows that keeping them happy, then the lithium supply is guaranteed. Hey, smart fellow. So, Chinese make some big bets. Oh, now we are supposed to be the software superpower of the world. Come on, if we are software superpower of the world, how come in AI we are 10 years behind? I mean, AI is a product of computer science. So if you are software superpower, you should be AI superpower. So these are serious problems to do with governance. And these are problems that I do not think the Niti Aayog type people know enough how to solve.